Hello and welcome back to the Behind the Letra YouTube channel. Now, as many of you may or may not know, as well as being a performance poet and a spoken word artist, I'm also a history and sociology teacher, and I'm still doing this full time. This is when I love telling people that I'm a teacher by day and a super poet by night. Forgive me for my corny jokes. Now, in another video, I am going to talk about how on earth I try and balance those two things. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that hasn't been given enough attention in the education system here in the UK, and that is the fact that we need to be recruiting and retaining more teachers of colour. Now I'm going to be talking about quite a unique group, which are millennial teachers of colour. So that's people like myself who are 22 to 37 that are currently in the teaching profession, and why we need to get more of these people. The experiences and the importance of millennial teachers of colour has gone somewhat unexplored. Now, other sectors like the business sector and the finance sector have recognised that they need to spend more time focusing on this group of millennial people of colour. Now, these other sectors are trying to spend time on capturing the interests of millennial people of colour, training them adequately, as well as retaining them in those fields. Unfortunately, the education system and many other areas in the public sector haven't seemed to have caught on to this. Now, there is a number of reasons why I feel we need to get more teachers of colour in the education system. There's no doubt that a diverse teaching and learning community can in fact enhance a student's achievement. But sadly, here in the UK, the efforts to recruit, train and retain teachers of colour are somewhat out of date and inadequate. Now, educators have the potential to equip young people with the adequate tools, values, beliefs and knowledge to help them go on into society and help make it more equal and democratic. But if young people aren't seeing people that look like them, that seem similar to them, or feel like a reflection of them, there's already a boundary for them accessing that education. Now, it always gets a bit messy when we generalise a generation, but millennial teachers of colour are currently the most ethnically, linguistically and racially diverse generation to date. They tend to have stronger opinions about education. They also have the advantage of technology to make the most out of the things that they're teaching. They have more resources than any previous generations of teachers of colour. And because of this, they're actually more equipped to challenge the status quo than any generation before. Now, I've currently been reading this book called Millennial Teachers of Colour by Mary Dilworth. She's an American professor who is talking about these issues to do with millennial teachers of colour, but more specifically in America. She found in her research that often teachers of colour are the only ones willing to speak openly about the concerns, causes and consequences for the benefit of their students, more so than any other ethnic group. What she also found is that we definitely need more teachers in subjects like the humanities and the arts. Now, I can speak on behalf of the South Asian community is that a lot of young people, when they're choosing what to study at university, they're often encouraged to go into subjects like maths and sciences. What this ends up meaning is that we've got less people from ethnic minority communities going into subjects like the humanities, history, geography, the arts. And that will go on to impact the number of teachers of colour that can go on to teach that subject. But can you see the long-term problem if we don't have teachers of colour teaching subjects like history, like geography, like religious studies, like philosophy? In a way, it could be cutting out a really vital voice in the education system. In the coming weeks, I'm planning to make a video on whether or not our national curriculum is too white. But before we can even tackle issues like the national curriculum, I think the first thing we need to discuss is that, do we have enough teachers of colour in our classrooms across the UK to even challenge these ideas? Now, through Mary Dilworth's research on millennial teachers of colour, she also found that it was statistically proven that teachers of colour can boost academic performance of students of colour. She also found that teachers of colour can help increase the aspirations of children coming from working class backgrounds or ethnic minority backgrounds to help them apply for top universities. From that, my worry is that if we don't have enough teachers of colour in the classroom, do we have enough people encouraging ethnic minorities to apply to top universities? Now, I can fully understand why the low salary or the poor working conditions might deter people from choosing teaching as a profession. But let me emphasise that it it is more than a profession. It is more than just a career. As a teacher, you can truly help change the lives of young people today. Now, if we want to create a future generation that is more tolerant, more accepting, more inclusive, more equal, I feel that we truly do need more teachers of colour in the classroom. Now, if you are interested in finding out more about how to get into teaching, have a look at some of the links that I've left below. Now, before we finish up, I thought I'd leave you with one of my short poems called My Teacher Taught Me. In my final days, when I grow old and grey, I want to look into the mirror, look into my eyes and see my pupils and everything they had ever learnt from me. The dilation that was once caused from a time when I helped them out of the darkness in order to reach more light.